Most people think investing in real estate is stressful. They worry about interest rates. They worry about market timing. They worry about finding the right deal. But she once had to dodge mortar fire just to survive the night. What would you do if everything you had ever known was destroyed in a single week? Your home, your city, your country, your entire world, reduced to rubble and smoke. This is the story of Leila Ahmadi, a woman who escaped a literal war zone, with nothing but the clothes on her back. A woman who lost everything, and used that loss to build something most people only dream of. A real estate portfolio worth $3.2 million, built from zero, built from trauma, built from the kind of grit that only comes from surviving the unsurvivable. Leila grew up in a beautiful city, a city of gardens and old stone buildings, of markets filled with spices and laughter, of children playing in the streets at dusk. Her father was a civil engineer. Her mother was a schoolteacher. They owned their home. They had savings. They had a life, a real life. She was 22 years old when the first bombs fell. She remembers the sound, not like in the movies, louder, closer, the kind of sound that changes you forever. The first week, people said it would pass. It always passes. This kind of thing always passes. But it did not pass. It got worse. Every day, every night. By the third week, Leila's neighborhood was unrecognizable. Buildings that had stood for 100 years were gone. Families who had lived side by side for generations were gone. Her father's engineering office, gone. The night they fled, there was no plan. There was no suitcase. There was no time. Her mother grabbed her hand. Her father said one word: run. They ran. Through streets she no longer recognized. Past buildings that were still burning. Past things she will never speak of. They ran for 3 hours, until they crossed a border. Until they were somewhere else, alive. But with nothing. Absolutely nothing. The refugee camp was crowded, cold in winter, suffocating in summer. Lines for food, lines for water, lines for everything. Her father, a man who had designed bridges, stood in those lines. Her mother, a woman who had shaped young minds, stood in those lines. And Leila watched them and made a decision. Not a decision born of hope, but a decision born of something harder: desperation. She said to herself, I will never stand in a line like this again. I will never depend on someone else for shelter. I will never be at the mercy of circumstances. I will own something. Something physical. Something real. Something that cannot be taken by bombs, or borders, or the decisions of powerful men in distant rooms. That decision planted a seed, and that seed would eventually become everything. The contrast of two worlds. After 18 months in the camp, Leila's family received asylum in Germany. A small apartment in a gray industrial city. 2 bedrooms, 4 people, government assistance just enough to survive. Leila did not speak German. She had no work history in this country. No credit score. No local references. No network. No anything. But she had something most people around her did not. She had already lost everything once, which meant she had nothing left to fear. That is the thing about surviving a war zone that no business school teaches. When you have truly lost everything, risk looks completely different. Most people are paralyzed by the fear of loss. Leila had already been through the worst loss imaginable. What was left to be afraid of? She started learning German the day she arrived. 3 hours every morning, before anyone else was awake. She found free language classes. She found a job cleaning offices at night. 4 hours of sleep every single day, for 2 years. Her colleagues at the cleaning company asked her, "Why do you work so hard? You could do less and still keep the job." Leila looked at them and said quietly, "I have seen what happens when you have nothing. I will not see it again." She was promoted to supervisor within 8 months, the fastest in the company's history. Not because the work was easy, because nothing in that building was as hard as what she had already survived. From scarcity to strategy. By year 3 in Germany, Leila was working 2 jobs: cleaning company supervisor by night, supermarket cashier by day. She was earning 28,000 euros a year. She was saving 18,000 of it every year, without exception. People around her thought she was strange. She never bought new clothes. She never went to restaurants. She never took vacations. She lived in the same small apartment. She cooked every meal at home. She said no to everything that cost money. Her colleagues said, "Leila, you work so hard. Spend a little. Enjoy your life." She smiled at them and said, "I am enjoying my life. I am building it." By year 5, she had saved 62,000 euros, a number that seemed impossible for someone who had arrived with nothing. But that was the war zone mentality at work. When you have survived on nothing, saving feels natural. Discipline feels like survival, because for her, it was. In year 5, Leila did something that shocked everyone who knew her. She did not open a savings account. She did not buy a car. She bought a small apartment in a struggling neighborhood of the city for 60,000 euros, using every euro she had saved. Her parents were terrified. Her father said, "Leila, what if the market falls? What if you need that money? What if something goes wrong?" She looked at her father, the engineer who had designed bridges, and said, "Baba, I have already lost everything once. If I lose this, I will build again. But I will not let fear keep me from owning something real." The psychological shift. The apartment she bought was not beautiful. It needed work. The previous tenants had left it damaged. The neighborhood had high vacancy rate. Everyone told her it was a mistake. Leila spent 6 months renovating it herself, watching YouTube tutorials, learning basic plumbing, learning how to tile floors, learning how to paint properly. Skills she had never needed before. Skills she learned because she could not afford to hire others. She rented it out within 2 weeks of finishing. 800 euros a month. Her first passive income. She held that first rental payment in her hands and wept, not from sadness, from something she had not felt in years. Safety. That feeling of holding something real, something physical, something that no army could bomb into nothing. That feeling became her obsession. She started studying real estate obsessively. Every book she could find, every podcast, every forum. She learned about leverage, about mortgages, about rental yields, about property management. She learned things that took most investors years. In 18 months, because she studied with the intensity of someone who knew exactly what was at stake. The instinct to survive. Year 7. Leila had saved enough for a second down payment. She applied for a mortgage. The bank rejected her. No local credit history long enough. Income too low on paper. Too much risk. She applied to a second bank. Rejected. A third. Rejected. Most people would have stopped. Most people would have taken the rejection as a sign. Leila had dodged mortar fire. 3 bank rejections were not going to stop her. She found a smaller regional bank. She walked in with a spreadsheet. Her rental income. Her savings history. Her renovation costs and outcomes. Her projections for the next property. A document so detailed, so precise, that the loan officer called his manager into the room. They approved the mortgage, not because the rules said they had to, but because they had never seen a loan applicant present their case quite like that. With the mortgage, she bought a second property, a 2-unit building, 2 rental incomes, 1 mortgage payment. The math was working. Year 9. Third property. Year 11. Fourth and fifth. She had learned to see what others could not. Properties in neighborhoods that were about to change. Areas where young professionals were starting to move. Where cafes were opening. Where rents were quietly rising. She bought before everyone else noticed. She sold when everyone else was buying. Her war zone instincts were translating perfectly. In a war zone, you learn to read environments quickly. You learn to spot danger before others do. You learn to move decisively when others hesitate. You learn that timing is everything. And you learn that hesitation can be fatal. In real estate, those same instincts became her greatest competitive advantage, the legacy of resilience. Today, Leila Ahmadi is 41 years old. She owns 11 properties across 3 German cities. Total portfolio value, €3.2 million. Monthly rental income, €14,000. Her parents live in one of her properties, rent-free, in an apartment she bought, renovated, and gave to them. The same parents who once stood in lines for food. The same father who once said, "We cannot afford it." Last year, a journalist asked Leila, "What was the turning point? When did you know you would make it?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "The turning point was the night we ran. The night I had nothing. Because that night, I learned something most people never learn. Security is not given to you. Security is not inherited. Security is not luck. Security is built, brick by brick, property by property, decision by decision. And the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to begin." The lesson for you. I want to speak directly to you now. Maybe you have never been in a war zone. Maybe you have never lost everything in a single night. I hope you never do. But maybe you have lost something. A job, a business, a relationship, a dream you worked years to build. Maybe you know what it feels like to start from zero. If you do, then you already have something Leila had. The knowledge that you can survive. The knowledge that loss is not the end. The knowledge that everything can be rebuilt. Leila did not succeed because she had advantages. She succeeded because she had none. Because having nothing taught her to value everything. Because losing her home made her obsessed with owning one. Because surviving the unsurvivable gave her a perspective on risk that no business school can teach. Here are the 3 things Leila did that you can start today. Number 1. Reframe your trauma as training. Every hardship you have survived, every loss you have endured, is a competitive advantage. It has taught you something. It has built something in you. Use it. Number 2. Start with discipline before strategy. Leila did not start with a plan. She started with a decision. Save everything. Spend nothing. Learn obsessively. The strategy came later. The discipline came first. Number 3. Buy something real. Something physical. In a world of uncertainty, of market crashes and economic shifts, real assets are the ultimate protection. Start small. Start imperfect. But start. Leila escaped a war zone with nothing. She built €3.2 million from zero. Not because she was lucky. Not because the world was kind to her. But because she decided that no circumstance, no matter how devastating, would be the final word on her story. What is your final word going to be? If Leila's story moved you today, do one thing. Share this video with one person who is rebuilding right now. Someone who has lost something. Someone who needs to know That loss is not the end. Tell them, Leila did it, and so can they. Thank you for being here today. This is Grace Talk TV, where every story has the power to change a life. We will see you in the next one.